Hour number 2 of this undefeated Monday morning show on Birds 365. John McMullen still heading on back from the West Coast. So we get Mac and Marc. Marc Farzetta. Farzy, how are you, bud?
Don, Johnny McDonald, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, my friend?
What are you on, like your 8th cup of coffee here?
I don't, come on. Do I drink, what am I, barbarian? I drink espresso. Thank you very much.
Really? Do you really do that every day? Holy mackerel, he does. God bless you. I can't do that. I'm just a good old, I'm a hazelnut guy.
Hazelnut?
I like flavored coffee.
What are you next you're going to tell me about your pumpkin spice latte? There, Johnny McDonald?
No. You. I guess you haven't heard my rant.
Oh, no.
Pumpkins serve one purpose. On the porch this month, leading up to Halloween with eyes carved out. Other than that, I have no use for pumpkins. You shouldn't have pumpkin donuts or pumpkin coffee or even pumpkin pie, which some people think is sacrilegious, but I can't stand it. No, a pumpkin should be observed, not eaten or consumed in any way.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me throw you a curveball. Pumpkin seeds. Baked pumpkin salted seeds, because I find those to be delectable.
Really?
Yeah.
Never tried one. Never had one. I can't badmouth it, but just off the top of my head, I would assume that they're disgusting, just like pumpkin coffee and pumpkin everything that you try and put in your mouth. A pumpkin should never get anywhere near your lips. Just keep it observant on the front porch for the trick-or-treaters. That's the only reason to have pumpkins. That's me. A little weird.
I hear you. I hear you. That sounds good. Sounds good, my friend.
I can't do espresso. Oof. You got a better constitution than me. That's for damn sure. All right. But you see, pumped up about the Eagles because they were stone cold dominant in the second half of that game yesterday, Farley.
Yeah, but I believe, Jody, you and I have a score to settle, my friend. I believe you and I have a score to settle because I believe the words you used were hogwash and poppycock when it came to my predictions about this game, about Bradley Roby, whether or not he would play.
Ooh, all right.
And he played, and the under. I believe the under, my friend. I believe the under.
Don't start with the under because it cost me a 5-team parlay yesterday. Well, actually only a 4 because Texans pushed. They were a 2-point underdog and they lost by 2. So my 5 became a 4. My other 3 were winners. My only loser, Eagles and over 50.5. So if you need for me to give you props, it's there. Done. I thought this game was going to be played in the 30s. I thought the Eagles would be better in the red zone than they turned out to be, and they would get 30-something. And when it was 17-14 half, when the Eagles got the touchdown right before half, the 34-second drive, including 2 dumb Ram penalties, and the push at the end, I was a lock. They 61. They're on their way. Of course it's going to be over. And then the Rams completely stopped scoring because the defense from the Eagles went nuts in the second half, and the Eagles settled for Jake Elliott field goals to make Marc Farzetta right. So I give you my props, my friend.
No, and my condolences to your parlay. So I feel bad about that. I legit, because I've been there. The bad beats and all that fun stuff. But Jody, I got to say this, man. What I was so impressed with yesterday. I mean, there's two names, and both are on the defensive side of things that you're talking about giving props to that deserve their flowers today. First, let me go with the play.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't ever use that phrase.
To give the flowers?
Can't stand it. McMullen knows. He says it, and it annoys the snot out of me. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah, give flowers to men. Why? Why the hell would you do that? Just stop and think of it literally for a second. It's stupid.
Isn't it a horse racing term, technically?
No.
Don't you give the horse the flowers?
No. Well, you drape roses on the Kentucky Derby winner, but again, 4-legged animal. Why would you give it to a 2-legged male? It makes no sense. It's stupid.
Okay.
You're better than that, Farzetta. Don't use that phrase anymore.
I'm with you. Okay, I will. It is now banished from my lexicon. Okay, here you go. Yesterday, 2 names. One, I'm going to go with the guy who played, and that guy's name is Jalen Carter. There was a red carpet of opportunity rolled out in front of him yesterday with Fletcher Cox not playing. And that man went out there yesterday. That rookie, man amongst boys, Jalen Carter, went out there and he ate, Jody. 2 sacks, two tackles for loss, pressures all the live long day. I loved what I saw from Jalen Carter. Before the game, I wanted to see production from Dallas Goedert. You certainly got that. I wanted to see Jalen Carter show you that he could pick up the slack where you didn't have a guy like Fletcher Cox in the middle of that defensive line, and he did that phenomenally well yesterday. The other guy, and we talked about it last week, you and I, this little chess match that was going to happen in this game between Sean Desai and Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. Sean Desai did not look like a guy who only had 1 year of coaching under his belt as a defensive coordinator. That was a great job by Sean Desai. If you would have told me before the game that they were going to shut him out in the second half, and a team like the Rams, who the game doesn't even start for the Rams till the fourth quarter, and they shut them out, both with pressure, with blitzes, with rotating coverage on guys like Cooper Kupp. The communication that was there between Bradley Roby and James Bradbury late in that game where they had that switch right there at the line of scrimmage when they put Cooper Kupp in motion. All that is a result of great coaching and also great veteran leadership. But I look at Sean Desai and having these guys as ready to play as humanly possible, despite having to have 7 different cornerbacks dressed and ready to go against this pass rush. It was a thing of beauty. All the props in the world, but no flowers, to Jalen Carter and Sean Desai.
Agree on all fronts. Couple of things. Number one, on Jalen Carter first, since you went there first. Yeah, he dropped to the Eagles in the draft, and the Eagles were Johnny in the spot, smart enough to take it. He looks like he may very well should have been the number 1 pick in the draft. Forget about the number 9 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And we all knew the off-field issues, the incident with the fatal car accident, and would this be a problem going forward? The other issue, now this was, I reported, others reported it as well, that he wasn't the greatest practice player at Georgia. That he certainly flashed during games, and that's why he was considered maybe the best talent in the draft, but might not be the greatest practice player at Georgia. Well, guess what? The Eagles don't sweat practice much. They don't really have that much of an emphasis on practices, so that's not going to be a big deal. And oh, by the way, after the second consecutive year where they take a Georgia defensive tackle with their number 1 pick, and a question about Jordan Davis was, he's one big boy, and he's going to need to get in full-blown NFL defensive tackle shape. He seemed to be coming around last year, then he got hurt, so he had to build back up his conditioning again. If anyone questions the conditioning of Jalen Carter, just put on the film. When he goes by his guys like that, in the blink of an eye, he's by offensive linemen trying to. Don't question his readiness for the game. Don't question his conditioning. He is a beast. He is a physical beast that can't be stopped right now. I know it's only 5 games into a career, but he's as unstoppable a force on a defensive line as there is in the National Football League.
70% of the snaps yesterday. His average on the season has been 51% of the snaps. Now, I understand yesterday there was only a couple of things. Right. But only 8 possessions for both sides. There are only 16 possessions in this game. That's and considering the way the Eagles dominated the time of possession battle, that was insane too. But Jalen Carter, bottom line, 51% of the snaps normally, 70% of the snaps in this game against the Rams. I mean, if that's not up for the challenge and the production that you saw as well, I don't know what is. And to your point, I do love the idea, and I haven't thought about it, Jody. In every sport, you can talk about practice and whether or not they're participating, whether or not they're into it, whether or not they're intense. But I love the idea of a guy having a bad practice, background and attitude, whatever it might be.
We're talking practice.
And then coming to the Eagles and like, you'll fit right in. We don't even practice anyway. We don't even take it that serious. So yeah, you'll do fine. You'll fit right in with the rest of the crowd, man. I absolutely, I know we've talked about this before, but I don't remember any time in my life, really. I mean, I was young for Jerome Brown, but like, I don't remember a time where I saw a lineman that looked this dominant, this young. And hopefully he keeps it going. But this guy just looks like a man amongst boys. I can't say it enough.
And it was also nice to see the return. And I know he got a sack last week, but yesterday was 2022 Hassan Reddick again. Back-to-back sacks. And I was actually more impressed with the first one than the second one. The first one, he was coming speed and he kind of got angled out so that he could only get a hand on Stafford. Stafford tried to step up. He stayed with the play.
Yeah.
And then he was getting help from his interior defensive line. He just caved in on Stafford. If Hassan Reddick is getting back to the level that he played at next year, this Eagle defensive line is just scary right now for us.
You consider this too. Sean Desai is definitely taking more liberties than Jonathan Gannon with the blueprint that was provided by Nick Sirianni. Because I think, like, you're seeing Jonathan Gannon, and Seth Joyner made this point yesterday. Jonathan Gannon's blitzing more now with the Cardinals because he's the head coach and he's also the play caller defensively. So he's going to take more liberties. Obviously, he's the man calling the shots. But here, it looks like Sean Desai is, I don't know if he's being allowed to do this or if he's just getting home more, so Nick Sirianni is not going to stop it. But the blueprint is don't allow the big play. So that's why you see the cornerbacks playing off as much as they are. But it certainly seems like you're seeing those delayed blitzes a lot more often. You're not afraid to see those safety blitzes dialed up like we've seen from time to time with Reed Blankenship. And then yesterday, maybe it's just part of the game plan because he was so new, but Bradley Roby had at least one or two corner blitzes dialed up for him in yesterday's game. I can't remember a game where I've said all those same things about one game in Jonathan Gannon's tenure, but he could certainly say you saw it yesterday when it came to the Rams trying to beat the Eagles defense, especially in that second half. Sean decided such a fantastic job with you could call them liberties, whatever it is, call it being creative. And then the second half adjustments. What do we ask for? If you're going to move on from Jonathan Gannon, give us a guy who's going to be a little bit more aggressive defensively, maybe a lot more aggressive defensively, but then be a guy that can make second half adjustments. And then you saw whether it was Darius Slay's conversation point or not. I don't know if you saw it. I saw it from Dave Zingaro after the game that he put out the tweet saying that Darius Slay is the one that made the suggestion to stick on Kupp in the second half, and maybe that was the turning of the tides. Whatever it was, they just 2 catches, Jody, 23 yards in the second half compared to 95 yards and 6 catches in the first half. That's the Eagles right there, man. That's the Eagles making adjustments either way.
Well, they go hand in hand, pressure and cover and pressure. I'll tell you, I think the pressure made the covering easier in the second half. Because let's be honest, you're right. The first quarter half, that Ram touchdown right before the Eagles got it back with 38 seconds to go and scored a touchdown of their own. The Rams had moved the ball at will through the air. And oh, by the way, and I give you your props. You were right. Bradley Roby not only played, he played more than anyone else in the slot, but not until they had gone to Mario Goodrich, and he looked like Mario Goodrich. Not before they had taken Eli Ricks and said, you're not really a cover, but we'll throw you in the slot anyway. They finally said, all right, Bradley, is there any chance you can play Bradley? I wonder how that went on the sideline. The coach goes over to him and goes, we know you've been here 20 minutes, but you want to jump in and play? And he did, and he played better than the 2 preceding players. Both Slay and Bradbury got beat yesterday. The shutdown corners, the veteran guy, not the wet behind the ears either because they just got in the league or they just joined the team guys. Right. They got their fair share of beatdowns yesterday too. So if Slay is talking a little trash, it's because I'd suggest I go. I saw you get beat a couple times yesterday, Darius, in the first half. Now everybody played that well in the second half. And that's Sean Desai. Give a nod to the defense coordinator, whatever adjustments he made, however they came up via suggestion or just him coming up with them himself. He gets all the credit from me.
Oh, I agree. I agree entirely. If Slay's willing to do it, fine. I wouldn't expect anything else from Darius Slay. He did get beat, especially in that first half against Cooper Kupp when he was in coverage on Kupp. He flat out, he just got beat. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The touchdown with Puka Nacua that was a great throw. I thought Bradbury was there. I felt like if you're someone home watching that game, it's a typical situation where you're watching the play develop and you're screaming, turn around, because if he turns around, that's either an interception or a pass that's broken up. Perfect throw, great catch by him. It is what it is. Unfortunately, James Bradbury, does get charged with that. However, offensively speaking, you mentioned the drive. 32 seconds left on the clock. The Eagles get the ball back. 3 timeouts. Jody, I mean, maybe not 3 timeouts, maybe 2, but how many times do we watch coaches go, let's just run the ball a couple of times and get to the half? But with this offense, hell, why not? Just go for it. See what you get. See if you can at least get a field goal out of this. And
that's what I was thinking. Honestly, I go, ooh, the Rams might have scored a little bit too early.
Mhm.
We could still get in field goal range.
I thought that I was like, a touchdown, let's not get crazy, but a field goal, they can get a field goal out of this.
Yes.
Jody.
50 plus money in the bank. I absolutely believe they were walking off with 3.
This is insane. That drive, Jody, was 75 yards, but play-wise was the shortest drive in possession of the game with only 4 plays and 2 penalties, thanks to what's his name? God, I had it written down. Darian Kendrick. Two penalties on that drive. One was the horse collar tackle on Brown, and then he had the pass interference in the end zone, which set up. Yeah. Oh my God! It was 4 plays, 75 yards, 32 seconds, ending in a touchdown. That's why you at least take that opportunity. And then from then on, it was the Eagles' game, man. The Eagles just dominated from that point on. Credit to the defense, obviously. The offense, they did what they needed to do as well. But Nick Sirianni, you knew he was going to go for it. What was it? 1st and goal from the 1. No time left, essentially. You push, you're in. You brotherly shove, and you're in. Or you just kick the field goal. And they, of course, went for the touchdown, and they got it. And then they basically negated the start of the second half. They negated the idea of deferring by the Rams to start the game because they would have gotten the kickoff anyway, so there's no extra possession there. And they scored on the opening possession anyway. So the Eagles, everything was for the most part picture perfect.
And oh, by the way, if there were an equivalent to this show on the left coast, they would probably call it Rams 366 because I know they're big fans of the leap year out there in LA. They would be going nuts. How the hell do you take those 2 penalties on that drive?
Yeah.
You've got the lead at the half. Even if you give up the field goal, you're still up 14-13. You have the lead at the half. No, you let the Eagles go 75 yards in a blink of an eye and stick it in on a cheek sneak to end the half. You're right. Momentum, game-changing. It was all those things. We like to look at it through eagle-colored glass. Oh, my God, what a drive. They don't have that drive if the Rams don't take 2 bad penalties, a pass interference and a horse collar. That aided plenty to that drive. Yeah, so I don't think they'd be saying the same exact thing on Rams 366.
No, a little different.
They'd be pointing out the shortcomings of the foolish defense.
One of the things we do in the post-game show, the segment I do, Mike Mistelli asked me about, who is the extending the play. It's a sponsor say it was extending the play. And there were so many guys you could go with the Eagles offensively speaking, that it was just hard to choose an Eagle. So I went with somebody outside the box. I went with Darian Kendrick because of those 2 penalties that certainly extended the drive. The hilarious part is he extended the drive 75 yards. That was only 4 plays, which is pretty insane.
They did a lot of good things yesterday, specifically. No, I shouldn't say specifically on either side of the ball. Defense was great in the second half. Offense was great moving it up and down the field. The touchdown right before half was success in the red zone. They had a couple of shortcomings in the red zone, had to settle for field goals. The Hurts pick, the one that he threw to the pylon, I did not think that was a bad pass. Again, every time I say this, I feel the need to qualify it. And this is Birds 365, so it's supposed to be about a specific team, the hometown team, the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'm sorry, I've been doing this for 30-plus years. Every once in a while, you just got to give credit to the opponent. People hate when you do that. It's all about the hometown team. If it's all good, it's because of us. If it's all bad, it's because there's another team out there in the field, but who the hell cares? It's all about us. That was a really nice play by the defensive back. That was not that bad a throw by Jalen. Sometimes you just got to give props to the other squad.
I think it came out after the game, Jalen Hurts, and I hesitate to bring this up with you because I don't know if you like this play or believe in this play or not. The back shoulder throw, it was supposed to be a back shoulder.
I think it's overstated.
Okay.
I think announcers always it's the actual intention of the quarterback. Every single time there's a back shoulder throw, it's because he was trying to throw to the back shoulder. I'm guaranteeing you at least some of the time it's just a bad throw.
It's just
he's not leading him enough, and he needs to catch it off the back shoulder. But you never hear an in-game announcer that, it's a back shoulder throw. He was trying to throw it to the back shoulder.
Yeah.
You don't know that. Did he tell you that? Did he signal to you up in the booth that, by the way, that was a back shoulder throw? It can be. I know for a fact that guys do specifically throw it some of the time, but according to announcers, it's every single time it goes to a guy's back shoulder.
You know, you never hear. That was one hell of a front shoulder throw there by Jalen Hurts. That was a great front shoulder. You don't hear that. So that apparently was the way that play was supposed to develop. It did look like a bad throw. And then I thought that it was very interesting. Afterwards, you saw, man, there was a lot going on the sidelines in this game. But you saw Nick Sirianni there having the tough coaching moment with Jalen Hurts. Maybe he was locked on A.J. Brown a little too much. I look forward to watching the All-22, see what else was available on that play potentially. But, yeah, either way, you're right. Look, good play by the defensive back. Whether the ball was underthrown, whether the ball was supposed to be a little deep in the end zone, I don't know. But from my vantage point, it looked like Jalen Hurts was locked on A.J. Brown. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The guy is pretty damn good wide receiver. But yeah, on that play, I'll tip my cap to the defensive back for making the good play on that one.
He did make a good play, and just one more on your back shoulder throw point. When they're saying they're throwing a back shoulder throw to Quez, that's just a lie. I'll come right out and say it. Quez isn't going to, number one, Quez's strength is his speed and getting ahead of somebody, getting out in front of somebody. So to think you're going to throw back shoulder to Quez where he's going to outman someone. You throw back shoulder A.J. Brown, make it a physical contest. Oh, yeah, that's a smart play because he's gonna beat a defensive back 19 out of 20 times in physicality. Not so much, but I guarantee you announcer's going to say any throw that goes to the back shoulder, oh, that's exactly where A.J. Brown went, exactly where Jalen Hurts wanted to throw it. No, he didn't. Stop.
My only problem with that is why are you throwing to Quez at all? That's just my take on it. Why the hell is he involved anymore? What's going on there? Why is he even involved?
Was wide open in the end zone on that one play, but even I said earlier in the show, first half, that was telling. He was so wide open. He's such an afterthought in Jalen's reads that he didn't even get to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jake, Quez played a lot yesterday, didn't do a hell of a lot. But I don't want to get on his case because then you get on the offense case, and the offense was good, except for the red zone, and Jalen Hurts was very good. You and I might have talked about this last week, the whole Jalen was running tentatively thing. And that was the word I chose. Some people were saying Jalen was running slow, which I thought was A, inaccurate, and B, unfair. I don't think he was slow. I think he was tentative. I think that either because he believed it or his coach has been drumming it into him, he needed to protect himself and they can't afford to get him hurt. And he's diving and sliding when last year he ran through people. Oh, guess what? Yes, I ran through people again, Mark. It looked like the 2022 version of Jalen Hurts running the football.
Jody, I don't know if your ears were ringing earlier today, but I was talking about you during my show at 6 a.m. I said Jody was using the word. Was it hesitant? Was it bashful? What was the word? Tentative was the perfect word for it. I couldn't think of it. And I said, you had the perfect word. That is the perfect word. Somebody hit me up in the chat and said that the word you used was tentative. That is the perfect word for it. And then this game, jeez, forget about being tentative. He was, I also hesitate to say looking to run because there were a couple of plays where he did stay there in the pocket like a statue and deliver the football downfield rather well. But if the play was there to be made, the play was there to be made, and he made it. And you didn't see him slide. You didn't see him run out of bounds. You didn't see any of that. You barely even saw him turtle up and hit the dirt. He used every ounce of his legs. The only time I had an issue with it, and it combines your two previous points there, red zone and running, what the hell were they doing at the end of the game? I understand that you're trying to milk the clock a little bit. You want to run the football. Why am I watching Jalen Hurts run the football twice in the last two plays of this game? Why am I watching it? Like, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, both, I think they use the same word leading up to the season, unique. Embrace the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game. Use what makes him special to their advantage, which is what you call good coaching and what you call good play and good execution. And there's also another word I want to use, abuse. I don't want to abuse the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game and his ability. And I feel like the way they ran the football in the last possession of the game for them, when really all they were trying to do is get a field goal, bleed the clock, get a field goal, not have another too early touchdown and give the ball back to the Rams. Why am I watching Jalen Hurts try to run up the middle? Why am I watching Jalen Hurts try to run to the outside at that point in the game? That's the only time where I feel like they were abusing the uniqueness of his game. Everything else, I felt Jalen Hurts did a great job of letting the game come to him, whether it was him running the football, him finding A.J. Brown, him finding Dallas Goedert, or even hitting DeAndre Swift out of the backfield for a couple of catches. All that I thought was good.
I'll play Nick Sirianni for you. And I don't know if this is what he was thinking, but I'm just speculating here. Maybe Coach Sirianni watched the end of the Miami Hurricane game on Saturday. Did you see this game?
I did not.
Miami has got the ball. It evoked memories of Herman Edwards is what it evoked. Miami's got the ball left with 38 seconds to go. So there's a 35-second play clock in college football. All they got to do is run the football. The quarterback could take a knee. He needs to step back, wait about 3 or 4 yards, take a knee. They start the play clock. Game's over. Miami hands the ball off. And the guy runs into the middle of the line, and he gets stripped, and the ball comes out. So Georgia Tech gets the ball back on their own 25-yard line. They got to go 75 yards in 30 seconds with no timeouts. And they did it. And they scored a touchdown. And Miami, all they had to do was get into victory formation and move back for just run 3 more seconds off the clock on the play, and the game is over. And they blew it. They ran the ball into the middle of the line, which was idiotic. So maybe Sirianni was thinking, I don't want to run the ball. I don't want this to happen to me. I know Jalen does not give the ball up. Part of Jalen's strength on the tush push, whatever else, he's a massively strong individual. He's not going to fumble. If I leave in his hands, he's not going to fumble. Even though the Eagles were up by 9 points, they couldn't have lost even against another team's touchdown. But I'm guessing that's his line of thinking. Somehow he caught the highlights of the Miami game and said, holy mackerel, that's a fireable offense. Guys like Jody McDonald on CBS Sports Radio going, that's a fireable offense with Mario Cristobal. So I don't want to get fired. Let me just give it to Jalen because I know Jalen isn't going to cough it up. You buy him my explanation?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but in the NFL, you want to protect that franchise quarterback as much as humanly possible, especially if you just signed him to that long term, especially you just signed him to that deal. Look, I put it this way. Against the Commanders, I had a very similar thought, which is why I didn't have the problem when they threw for the touchdown. All right, you have an opportunity to put up points. You have a single coverage on A.J. Brown, who's already beat his man. Yeah, you let that fly. You recognize something, you let it fly. I hated everything after that, A.J. Brown getting the taunting penalty, for instance. But I had the same thought of, yeah, if you can cash this in and put the game essentially out of reach and have your defense shut down Sam Howell, you're going to win the game. Because I was afraid of maybe DeAndre Swift fumbling. What if you do fumble? What if Jalen Hurts fumbles? What if Kenny Gainwell fumbles? Whoever might fumble, what if they fumble? So that's definitely in the back of my mind. But with that being said, the last 2 plays of the game, I didn't need to see Jalen Hurts run the football there. I would have much rather seen DeAndre Swift or Kenny Gainwell with the ball in their hands to try to end that game and close it out.
Or even someone like no, that's right. They don't even activate Rashad Penny.
No, they don't, man. Good Lord. That guy.
Don't quite understand. At some point, a prediction, Jody Mac prediction, not good against Marc Farzetta when he's on the air with me. I get those all wrong. But I'll make a prediction. He's got to get into a game here sooner or later, or the coach has got to go down the road, but he looks great in practice. Because remember, he did that last year with
Trey Sermon.
Sermon. Oh, he's so great in practice. He's working hard on practice. He's impressing the snot out of us in practice. And then he gets deactivated. So at some point, we need the Sirianni update that he's still on the team, that he's looking good in practice, because you can't find him with a map on Sundays when the Eagles are playing because he is not active. He's somewhere up in a luxury box.
Jody, Jody, real quick, just 10 seconds. Everyone in the chat, people I know have been people I've seen in the chat a bunch of times before. I am aware that I look like a drunk Nick Sirianni. Okay, I'm aware of that. Thank you.
Oh no, you got a way better beard than Sirianni. Better beard.
But don't you dare, people in the chat. How dare you say I'm his older brother? He is a year older than me at least. So you bite your tongue. Yeah. How about that?
I'm gonna have to check those dates because I would have said older brother too. Maybe that's to do with the fact that many of us here on Birds 365 are follically challenged. He's Farzetta. I'm McDonald. You got Mac and Marc here on Birds 365 coming back when we return. Let's take note of the other teams in the NFC East. Oops. Eagles opening up some room in the division, 5 games into the season. I'll get Farzi's take on the Cowboys, and the Giants lose. The Commanders lost all the way back on Thursday night, embarrassingly so, to a team that hadn't won a game yet. Is this division already over? Could be. Mac and Marc here on Birds 365.